So you're looking at the new WRX and you're thinking, man, that thing is hideous. What is something that's kind of like the WRX, but 1,000 times better? Well, buddy, I got the solution for you. A company you might have forgotten, Mitsubishi, made the Evo, and the Evo 8 and the Evo 9 are perfect cars. So take that 30, 40 something grand that you're gonna spend on some crappy WRX with that crappy boxer engine that's having all those issues, and go buy yourself a nice Evo that's about 15 years old. And not only you'll have a car that will appreciate, but also it looks better, performs better, and feels like an actual rally car. But if you're one of those WRX guys that likes to stance them out, please just forget what I just said and go back to the WRX.
Go back where you came from.
So before we get started in this video, make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below which one you would get, the Evo 8 or the Evo 9, and just join the Discord if you want to play some video games or just talk about cars. So in this video, we're going to be going over the Evo 8 and the Evo 9 because they're so similar. First, we're going to talk about the years, then we're going to talk about the trims, then we're going to go out to the common problems that these cars have. Good thing there's not too many. And after that, we're going to go into parts that add value for this car. And last but not least, we'll go over the 4 rarest colors you can get for the Evo to stand out in a car a little more in a car that you'll already stand out in. So the Evo 8 ran from 2003 to 2005. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, I know, it kind of sucks. I wish they made them longer. And the Evo 9 was only made in 2006 in the USA. So getting your hands on an Evo 9 is very hard to do. And although there was a whole number difference, there's not too much that changed between the Evo 8 and the Evo 9. The Evo 9's turbo had a bigger compressor. The 4G63 in the Evo 9 also had MyVec, which is pretty much Mitsubishi's version of VTEC.
VTEC! Turbo!
They also had a different front bumper, and the supports for the wing on the Evo 9 were not made out of carbon fiber, which is pretty much, in my opinion, a downgrade. And last but not least, the Evo 9 had smoked headlights and smoked taillights. Because of the addition to MyVec and the bigger compressor in the turbo, there's a small difference in horsepower, and the Evo 8 made 276 horsepower and 273 foot-pounds of torque. And then when you bump up to the Evo 9, you're making 286 horsepower and 289 foot-pounds of torque. So you're pretty much gaining around 10 horsepower. Now that we got the years out of the way, we're going to talk about the different trims that this car had. So first of all, you got the standard version, pretty much the version that if you barely had enough money for an Evo, this is what they'd give you, no extra options. This is just what you get. You get a 5-speed transmission, and it's just a standard model. If you had a little bit more money to spend, you could get the RS version, which stands for Rally Sport. This also had the 5-speed transmission, but had an aluminum roof, saving a little bit of weight, gauge pack, minimal interior, and also no radio. So this is the version that you'd be taking out on the track. And although it has no radio, the 4G63 sounds so beautiful compared to the ugly, crappy Boxer. This sound, compared to that, I mean, honestly, the Subaru just sounds like it's farting. There's no comparison. The next trim up from RS was a special edition. This came with an aluminum roof, hood, and front fenders, split 7-spoke forged aluminum BBS wheels, and diamond black HID headlights with integrated fog lights and red stitched Recaro seats. At one point in time, I was thinking of buying some Evo seats and putting them in the 8.6. Turned out the deal fell through, but man, those seats are beautiful. And if you really got the dough to spend, you could get the MR edition, which has a 6-speed instead of the 5-speed like all the other models, Bilstein monotube shocks, split 7-spoke forged aluminum wheels, an aluminum roof, hood and front fenders again, the gauge pack, HID headlights with integrated fog lights, vortex generators, because we all know they give us more horsepower, front brake cooling ducts, and a custom MR badge. This pretty much has all the accessories of all the models combined, and it also costs the most. Now let's move into the common problems that the Evo 8 or 9 that you're looking at might have. If you're looking at an MR version of the Evo 9, let's say, just know that they have a weaker transfer case than the 5-speed models. They're known to grind in first gear, they're known to pop out, they just, have more problems. So if you don't really care to get the top trim, best quote-unquote model, the 5-speed models are a lot more sturdier, and not having a 6th gear is not that bad. The next thing you'll want to do is ask the owner the last time the timing belt has been changed. They're supposed to be changed every 60,000 miles, so if it's been longer than that, that kind of means that he's not keeping up with that maintenance, which probably means that he's not keeping up with a lot of other maintenance, and that's probably a bad sign.
Oh boy, it's dark. The engine just breathed a sigh of relief saying, finally somebody's changing my oil.
So if it's getting close to that 60,000 mile range, this might be a great way to get a couple $100 off the car. Just say, hey man, this is gonna need to be replaced soon, and you know, it's kind of getting close. If the gas door does not open on the Evo that you're looking at, do not fret. It is just, well, I mean, it could actually be two things. Never mind. One of them is that the cable could just be stretched and you need to replace that cable, or it might just be that there's a little plastic piece that actually pops the door open. And if that piece has not been replaced, it might have just gotten brittle and cracked, and that's why it's not popping open. In the meantime, just prop the lever up with something and stick your credit card in there and get that new little plastic piece in there, and you'll be good to go. So that's not a big thing to worry about at all. If you're looking at a Evo 8 in 2005 or the Evo 9 in 2006, the active differential pump can go bad, and the way to tell is if you turn the car to accessories, there's 3 different modes on the center of your dash, and they say tarmac, gravel, and snow. If all 3 of those light up, that means that that pump has gone bad and it does need to be replaced. Now, good news for you is I'm betting if you're buying one of these cars, you're not going to be taking it in the gravel and actually rallying this thing. So it is not something that you actually need to fix unless you do plan on tracking this in the gravel or in the snow. So all you got to do is leave it alone. But since it is something broken on the car, you can get a better price on the car. And if you didn't list it in the description, you can say, hey man, this is broken. You didn't tell me about this. We're gonna need to renegotiate that price a little bit to incorporate me fixing it. Now in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, I'm not gonna fix this. I'm gonna spend it on something else, get some new headlights or whatever. But it's a great thing that you can bargain down on. Another very common problem that these Evos have is that the electrical wiring in the driver's side kick panel ends up getting water in it if it is not like a garage queen. So it probably will have water in it, and it just depends on if they've replaced it or not. Some things that can go wrong if the water gets in this electrical wiring is that the radio doesn't work right, the lights will flicker on and off, or the window wipers won't work properly. And that's not all, but if you see any electrical issues, it's possibly and most likely that those wires in the kick panel. And it either can be an easy fix or a pretty hard thing to fix. So you might want to do your research, and in the description down below, I'll leave a link to all the possible fixes to this problem. Another great thing to ask the owner is if this car has been tracked, because if it has been tracked, the Evo does have a problem with starvation of oil if it is being driven hard. And one of the best ways to fix this is buying a baffled oil pan. Now, if he did not buy this and he ended up tracking the car, that could cause some damage to the engine. But if you did buy the baffled oil pan, that is also a great thing to know, because most likely it will be one of those Moroso oil pans, and they'll probably take 2 more quarts than a regular Evo with the stock oil pan on it. So if you do your first oil change and you don't put enough oil, that could also cause some problems with the engine. And last but not least, if you just strike one out of the ballpark and you find an Evo that says, oh, I'm selling this thing for cheap, it doesn't start, it might be a fuel pump, I don't have time to fix it, one of those types of things, you are in for a treat, because the ignition switches in these cars go bad, and it either can just be a simple screw that got loose or a $100 new ignition switch, and the car will start right up. Now, this won't always be the problem, but it could quite possibly be the problem. And if the guy is asking a super low price, you might want to take the chance and buy that car up. So now let's go on to the thing that will add the most value to this car, and that is the difference between an Evo 8 and an Evo 9. Like I talked about earlier, there's a couple small subtle differences and about a 10 horsepower boost from the Evo 8 to an Evo 9. Now the question is, do you want to spend double the amount of money to get the Evo 9? For reference, on Bring a Trailer, Evo 8s are selling for around $15,000 to $20,000. Now if you try to find an Evo 9, you're automatically looking at $36,000 to $40,000. So if you do find an Evo 9 for the price of an Evo 8, you need to swoop that up right now. But if you're just looking for an Evo 8 or an Evo 9, definitely the bang for the buck is the Evo 8. Now let's go to my favorite part, the 4 rarest colors you can get for this car. The reason why it's not 5 and it's only 4 is because they didn't really make too many colors for this car. So if I put 5, we kind of be listing almost every color in the book. The number 1 rarest color you can get is yellow. And usually I've got to say I do not like yellow cars, but on an Evo, it just hits different. I like that it's not too dark, it's not too light, it's just a perfect shade of yellow. And I honestly got to say, this is one of the top 2 favorite colors for this car. Next up on the list is my number 1 favorite color for this car, and this is electric blue. I like that it's a darker shade of blue, and it almost is switching to purple at this point, but still considered a blue. And I think it just suits the Evo so perfectly because it's the rival to the Subaru, and Subaru's color is blue. Mitsubishi's just beating Subaru at their own game. Next on the list is a very bland color, but on the Evo it still looks super great for some reason, and that is graphite gray. It's just a darker shade of gray, and that's all I can say about it. But for some reason on the Evo, it just looks spectacular. I don't know, maybe all colors on this car look really good. And then last but not least, we got the Subaru copy clone paint job, and that is the Blue Bayou. blue. I don't know, you know, they could have been a little bit more original here and made it a different color. We already had a darker shade of blue, which looks a lot better than the Blue Bayou, so I don't really know why they had this color too. You could have went with a purple or like a, I don't know, what's another cool color? Pink? I don't know, something. But 2 blues for a car that barely had any paint colors is just kind of weird. And especially since it's the same color as your rival. This is probably my least favorite rare color. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please make sure to like and subscribe down below. Comment if you like the Evo 8 or the Evo 9 better. And join the Discord. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.